and welcome back to PrepTalk podcast. We are back with another episode, and this one is rather interesting as we have with us Tutela's alumni, Anirudh Krishna. He scored a whopping 1510 on his SAT exam back in 2019, and along with the SAT exam, he took very interesting APs such as AP Calculus BC, where he scored 5 on 5, AP Physics CENM, where he scored again 5 on 5, and APC Mechanics, where he scored 4 and 5. He's currently studying in UCLA. Well, he's here with us today to answer the most of the frequently asked questions from the students about college prep and the admission process. So, without further ado, let's welcome him to the show. Hello, Anirudh. Welcome aboard.
Hi, thank you for having me today, and I'm very excited to do this podcast with you.
Amazing. Let's first start off by understanding a little bit about you. How is life at UCLA and how is everything going?
I think it's going very, very well, and I have decided the major I want to do, which is Math of Computation, a major which is uniquely offered in UCLA. So I'm not uniquely, but it's pretty good at UCLA, so I'm pretty happy about that, and I've discovered what I want to do in the future, and UCLA has helped me do that. So I am happy from an academic point of view and even from a social point of view.
That's good to know. So let's begin. So we will be making this a two-part podcast looking at the number of questions we have and the knowledge you impart. So for the first part, let's touch base and understand everything about the test prep for the college and every minute detail that covers the entire journey of standardized testing. And then for the second part, we look into the aftermath of standardized testing where you apply for the college, the entire college application experience, and how life is after you land in your dream college.
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So first question to you is, how did you know that SAT is the standardized test prep that you wanted to go ahead with? Because we do have ACT. How did you come to that conclusion?
The process was I came to Tutela because Tutela was right near my house, and I took the diagnostic test for both, and I scored marginally better in SAT than ACT. That was a process, but in my view, I don't think it really matters. I think you can choose either, and the way you practice and the dedication with which you work is what's going to help you succeed in either. I know SAT is more difficult, people say, and ACT is easier, but there's more time pressure. But I think it's not such a big difference. I think it's marginal, and if you prepare well, you will be able to succeed and get similar scores in both.
All right. So what difficulties did you face while preparing for SAT and how did you overcome them?
I found the time pressure in SAT very high, and yeah, that's ironic because ACT is supposed to be the one with higher time pressure, but I used to read the questions very slowly and finish about 3/4 paper in the given time, and that brought my score very, very low in the practice exams. So my aim was to improve my reading speed while retaining a good amount of information, which Tutela helped me do, for which I'm very grateful for. And over time, I think my speed reading skills improved and my SAT scores improved along with that. Right. So you have to be a bit biased here, as I'm going to ask you what was the easiest section for you and what was the most difficult? Definitely easiest was math. Both the calculator and non-calculator. And I would say the non-calculator was even easier than the calculator section. And yeah, that's because of my mathematical style of thinking. I've been doing that since I was in second grade, and
Explains your choice of major.
yeah, it does explain my choice of major. And I found the English section to be very, very difficult. And not because of the questions. I was pretty sure that if I had 5 hours, I would solve 95% of them correct, but I didn't. And I had to think very hard on the spot. And do you have any guesses out of 800 what my score was the first time I took the English?
I'd rather not say that. I think you should answer that.
Yeah, it was around 500.
Okay.
And I think the lowest you can get is 400.
Okay.
And that was because I couldn't finish more than half the paper. And out of the things I finished, I got most wrong. So my English was very, very bad, and it was a challenge to improve that. So definitely my clear answer is math, and English was the more difficult section, especially the reading. The writing was okay.
I figured that out since you said reading was the difficult part. How many attempts did you take? And the last we know that you got 1510. So how many attempts that took?
I took 2, and both the attempts I got 1510. By the way, I didn't improve, so it wasn't fruitful to do the second attempt. But yeah, it's okay.
But you learn as you go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question. How was your entire experience taking SAT during the COVID time? Which we know was not, very good for a lot of people. People going through stuff and things were happening, and amidst that, you were focusing on your future. So how was that, and how did you handle the barriers that you were facing?
Yeah. I think they're digitalizing it now, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I hope they did that during my
Back
time.
then.
Yeah, it would have been much easier. And SATs were cancelling inside out, and we were fighting to get spots in SAT. Different centers were just closed. So I think I was fortunate enough to even get an opportunity to do 2 attempts. And I think it was advantageous if we weren't affected by COVID, because it was online school and we had more time to devote to preparation to SAT, for SAT. However, the risk that we couldn't even do it was pretty high and stressful. So it wasn't that bad for me because I took my first attempt before COVID. Okay. But
so you had an experience of how the entire process goes.
Yeah, I did.
A benefit for you, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think the mask thing would have been a
very, Thank you for reminding me about it, because I am a person who sweats a lot. Okay. And it was pretty humid while I was taking it. Yeah. And when I have my mask up and I'm breathing, the what do we call it? The white foam, or the fog appears in my specs, and you can't see. And then consider my reading problem. I don't read fast. So if you skip lines, you have to reread the line again. And that was very bad. Yeah. That unlocked a memory.
Yeah. I mean, I wear specs and I used to wear mask, and I did give a couple of tests back then, and I could understand how hard it would have been.
Yeah.
So, okay, now that's aside, I think you are in a very good place right now, and thanks that COVID is not coming back again anytime soon.
Yeah.
So moving on to our next question. Talking about APs now, I think we are done with enough questions about SAT. Yeah. Now that you're in college, how do you feel taking APs is important, and how it has helped you in your journey?
Yeah, a good question. And in my view, out of all the standardized exams, APs are the most underrated. And I'll explain why and how it helped me. Firstly, I want to talk from a brain point of view. I took AP Calculus and AP Physics, and I think it built my brain to think in a very good way. And I took it in 11th grade, and it prepared me very much for 12th grade. And it's different. This is a US style of education, which you need to follow to do the AP. And I personally was from ISC, which is more rote learning based, or it's more intensive, but it's less application based. But an AP is different. So it developed my style of thinking. And it also helped me score better in school. That was one. And secondly, it helped even more in college, because I didn't really consider waiving off college requirements while taking APs. I just wanted it to look good on my resume, and I wanted it to improve my math and physics skills, so I took it. But it really saves you a lot of money. And I think each AP, at the time I took it, was about 15,000 rupees. If you want to take a class which is equivalent in a US college, it would be about $4,000. which is many, many, many times 15,000 rupees. So if you do 3 or 4 APs, you can cut down on a whole quarter and save about $20,000, which is a good amount of money.
I mean, let's not even convert it into INR.
Yes.
Yeah.
But from that point of view, it was very, very helpful.
All right. So we have been saying this in all our AP podcasts that economically APs have been doing wonders, and I think you did it in 2019, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
From 2019, in 2022, we see there has been a very high, curve up that people are now realizing how APs can, really help them, which is a good point. And you did SAT subject tests, which are, not valid anymore. But I think it's worth mentioning that you did a lot of things, and which was good. But how did you manage all those things? Is my question, because academics, APs, SATs, subject tests. So it was a lot for a single person to do. So how were you able to manage? Because I clearly can see you have very nice, managing skills. How?
Yeah. It was definitely difficult. So the best way to do it is to start early, which I did not do. I started mid 11th grade, which made it much more hectic. But if you start mid 10th grade, if you start looking out on what you want to do and the path to reach there by 10th grade, I know it's a lot of pressure. And I was definitely not, I was clueless at that time, but starting early in 10th would help a lot. And if you're already in 11th or 12th, I think slogging is the way. You have a goal, which is to study in a good college abroad or even in India. To achieve it, you need to struggle. And that will mean sacrificing on some other aspects of your life. And if you want to attain it, you would definitely need to. It's that motivation you have to reach your goal, which will help you manage everything.
Of course. So let's talk about some tips that you would like to share with the fellow students who are, in the same journey. They're in 10th, 11th, and they're planning to study in the US. So what are your tips that students should not miss out on from your experience?
Okay, I'm going to give a very cliche tip, which I personally rejected when I was applying for college. So first-hand experience on messing that up. But I think learning is more important than resume. And discovering what field you want to be in, what excites you, and devoting your resources to that over solely resume. I won't say resume is not important. It's definitely important. But I think learning is more important, and I'll tell you why. I focused a lot on resume, firstly, because I started late, as I said. So I had to get enough onto my resume to get into a good enough college. But then when I went to college, I realized I didn't gain any out of school skills or good enough out of school skills, which I could use to develop something of my own. For instance, if there's a CS major, someone who wants to do a CS major, learning a good amount of basic CS in school outside the school curriculum, I think would be very beneficial, because once you go to college, you can learn a bit of more skills and build your own app, or you can do a good amount of development of software or anything, any extracurriculars which are much better once you have the skills. So it's actually a time and how do we say this? A time resume trade-off, because you can either make your resume look good in a year, or you can make it look outstanding in 5 years by developing the skills right now. And there's a very good quote which I would like to say. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. True. And I think people should look at the long run and work accordingly. And I think studying in a lower ranked university but being more skilled is in fact even better than being less skilled and studying in a higher ranked university, because in the long run, I think the skills are what would help. And I'm still in college, so don't really take everything I say very seriously. But this is my experience.
But you have the experience, so you can say it better. And I think it makes sense that if you build yourself in 5 years, you're not starting from scratch like most of the students that are starting in
Yeah.
college. So yeah, the scratch thing is something that you should not go for. You should build over time and you should make your mind beforehand that you do want to do this and achieve it.
Definitely.
Okay, so coming on to our obvious question, how was your experience at Tutela?
It was absolutely wonderful. And I can't even compare to other coaching institutes because I've not experienced. I came directly to Tutela, but one, obviously the teaching was very good, and I'm not going to comment on that because the scores speak for themselves. But I think the environment was even better, and I came to Tutela. The teachers made very good bonds with me, and even today I am coming and visiting them, and that's why I'm on this podcast. And it's a very good bond to make. And I never felt like Tutela was academics. I felt excited to come, and there were many students. I could talk to them in the breaks. I could talk to the teachers in the breaks just like that. And it's very interesting how Ashish sir does a few things. Let me mention. In one of my first, I think, SAT subject math classes, he came to class and he gave us a problem, and he said it was about a spider. So irrelevant problem, but he came and said, whoever solves this problem will get a Kit Kat milkshake from Kevinter's.
Okay.
And then a couple of us solved it. We got the milkshake. Another day, whoever solves that problem gets a pizza from somewhere else. Whoever gets a 36 in ACT or 1570 plus in SAT, I'm not sure what the condition is right now, gets an iPhone. All these.
It's still there. It's on 1600 now. So we just missed it by 10. So I'd like to mention this here that Pragun Sharma is one of our students, and he took the August attempt and he got 1590, which is like a very proud moment for us and for Pragun. I'm very sure for him as well. So that's the iPhone thing is still there, but for 1600 now.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Good. People are
So
improving.
yeah,
1600
motivation drives people,
Yeah,
and you
definitely.
need I know the ultimate goal is to get into US and get into a very good university, your dream college. But then little wins matters a lot in a very long journey, and it is a long journey getting into US college. So with this, we end the first part. We hope you like the experiences that Anirudh has shared with us. If you find the podcast useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content filled with fun and information. Don't forget to tune in next week for the second part where we discuss the college application process and Anirudh's college experiences. Have a good day, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.